The rain began not as a blessing, but as a curse. It was as if the heavens themselves had turned against us, unleashing their fury without warning or mercy. It fell relentlessly, echoing the anxieties of a generation. In September 2014, the sky over Kashmir turned a bruised, sullen grey, heavy with foreboding. Each drop seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 unspoken fears. This was no gentle monsoon. It was a furious, unending assault. Water blurred the lines between mountains and sky, river and land. The familiar contours of our world began to dissolve, replaced by a growing sense of dread. The Jhelum, our lifeline, began to swell, its current faster, its color a menacing brown. We had seen it rise before, but never like this. The river's roar grew louder, echoing through empty streets and anxious homes. The river seemed to forget its ancient pact with the people. Water crept silently, then breached its banks with terrifying suddenness. In a matter of hours, boundaries that had stood for generations were erased. The city of Srinagar transformed overnight. Streets became rivers, homes became islands. Families woke to water seeping through their floorboards, a nightmare made real. Panic and confusion spread as people scrambled to higher ground. Darkness was absolute, broken only by distant, desperate cries for help. Disbelief settled over us. This could not be happening, not here. The city we loved was vanishing before our eyes, swallowed by the relentless flood. Familiar landmarks vanished beneath the rising tide. The water was a thief, stealing our sense of place and security. Streets we once walked with confidence were now unrecognizable, lost beneath the murky depths. Our vibrant city became a monochrome landscape of water and sky. The world we knew was washed away, leaving us adrift in a terrifying new reality. Hope felt distant, replaced by a cold, numbing uncertainty. We waited for a dawn that seemed as if it would never come. The flood had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. In those endless hours, we clung to each other, searching for courage in the face of disaster. Fear has a taste. Muddy water and damp concrete. It seeps into every breath, every heartbeat, as the world you know is swallowed by the flood. Thousands found refuge only on rooftops and attics, huddled together, watching the water rise, feeling the cold wind and rain on their faces. Below, their lives were submerged. Furniture floated, memories dissolved, and the familiar became unrecognizable. Isolation was absolute. No electricity, no way to call for help. The city was cut off, each family an island in a sea of despair. Stories emerged, a son tying his mother to his back, risking everything to keep her safe. Families rationing a single packet of biscuits, sharing every crumb as if it were gold. Helicopters flew overhead, hope rising and falling with each pass, as people waved frantically, desperate to be seen. The cries for help became a mournful chorus across the city, echoing from rooftop to rooftop. Every creak, every surge brought fresh panic. Would the house collapse? Would the water claim another life? People watched helplessly as neighbors' homes crumbled, livestock swept away, and the river showed no mercy. Hunger and thirst gnawed, but the mental anguish was worse. Abandonment, uncertainty, fear. The waiting was endless. Silence between the cries was just as terrifying, heavy with dread and unanswered prayers. People prayed for the rain to stop, for rescue to come, for a sign that they had not been forgotten. For days they clung to hope, suspended between life and death, refusing to let go. It was a test of endurance and faith in a world turned hostile, a struggle to survive when everything seemed lost. The Jhelum, Kashmir's artery, became a vessel of destruction in 2014. The cause relentless rain, 5 days of monsoon fury the land couldn't absorb. Tributaries swelled, feeding their rage into the main river. But the sky wasn't solely to blame. Decades of encroachment on floodplains and wetlands left the river nowhere to go. Concrete replaced marshes, blocking the river's ancient paths. Wetlands, our natural sponges, were lost to development. When the Jhelum broke its banks, it was a man-made disaster as much as a natural one. The river reclaimed its territory, punishing years of environmental neglect. The flood was a brutal reminder. A river remembers where it once flowed. Our actions had set the stage for catastrophe. As the water settled, a new crisis began. Survival gave way to a desperate struggle for basics: clean water, food, shelter. Wells and taps were contaminated. People drank floodwater, risking disease. Hunger was constant. Kitchens and food stocks were ruined. Aid was slow to arrive, roads and bridges destroyed. Nearly 1 million people were displaced, forced into overcrowded relief camps. Sanitation was poor, disease spread quickly. The economic impact was immediate. Shops, workshops and fields destroyed. Rice paddies and apple orchards were lost just before harvest. The total loss, over ₹1 trillion, but the true cost was measured in shattered lives. The flood left a city of refugees, struggling to survive in their own home. Amid chaos, heroes emerged: soldiers, rescue workers, and ordinary citizens. One of the largest rescue operations in India's history began. Helicopters and boats became symbols of hope, plucking families from rooftops. The challenges were immense: strong currents, hidden debris, broken communication. For every family rescued, hundreds still waited. But the spirit of Kashmiriats shone through. Local volunteers, fishermen, and youth organized their own rescues. They navigated by memory, risking their lives to save others. They carried the elderly, ferried children, and shared what little they had. These grassroots efforts saved countless lives. In the darkest times, community became the first responder. The resilience of the human spirit was on full display. When the water finally receded, it revealed a ghost city shrouded in silt and decay, where silence hung heavy in the air. Streets were unrecognizable, littered with debris and ruined belongings, as if time itself had stopped in the wake of disaster. The smell of rot and sewage clung to everything, seeping into walls and memories alike. People returned to devastation, homes filled with toxic mud, memories buried beneath layers of filth and heartbreak. Cleaning up was exhausting, both physically and emotionally, as families struggled to salvage what little remained of their lives. Bridges and roads were gone, villages isolated, irrigation canals choked with mud, cutting off entire communities for weeks. Dal Lake was polluted, china trees stained brown, silent witnesses to disaster, their leaves heavy with the weight of loss. The city looked like a war zone for months, its spirit battered but not broken. Piles of ruined possessions lined the streets, marking the scale of loss and the resilience of those determined to rebuild. The brown waterline on every building became a scar on the city's face, a reminder of nature's fury. Srinagar became a graveyard of memories, every corner a story of loss and survival, echoing with the hope of a new beginning. The economic devastation lingered long after the waters receded. Agriculture, the valley's backbone, was crippled, paddy fields and apple orchards destroyed. Generations of work were lost overnight. Saffron fields rotted, recovery would take years. Trade and commerce collapsed, shops and inventory ruined. Small businesses, the city's lifeblood, were wiped out. Tourism halted, deepening the crisis. Rebuilding was slow, government aid insufficient and delayed. Many families fell into debt, trapped in poverty. The flood exposed the region's economic fragility, leaving wounds that would take years to heal. The floods left deep, invisible scars on Kashmir's psyche. Trauma lingered. Fear, helplessness, and anxiety haunted survivors. Homes, once sanctuaries, became sources of dread. Children developed phobias. Adults suffered nightmares and depression. Mental health support was inadequate for the scale of suffering. The disaster tested the social fabric. Solidarity gave way to tension as resources grew scarce. Shared trauma initially united, then isolated people as they rebuilt alone. The flood was an existential shock, a reminder of life's impermanence. It forced a generation to confront its vulnerability to nature's power. The psychological toll became a quiet, persistent echo of the water's roar. Remembering the 2014 floods is an act of survival, not sorrow. The water carried hard lessons. Respect for the environment is non-negotiable. We cannot build our future by destroying natural defenses. Wetlands, floodplains, and forests must be preserved. The disaster exposed failures in disaster preparedness and response. We need robust, community-driven plans and a culture of awareness. Yet the flood revealed the resilience and solidarity of Kashmiris. Community became the first responder, neighbors helping neighbors. As climate change threatens more disasters, these lessons must guide us. The water has receded, but its lessons must shape a safer, more resilient future.